Hi there. Welcome to Rate the Dream, Life, Love, and Mortgages. I'm your host, Melissa Landon, and I'm here with a very special guest and a really good friend of mine, Caitlin McSaney. Hi. So Caitlin has an amazing story that she wants to tell, and I've been really dying for everyone to hear her story of what's gone on in her life for the past year and change. So I will give Caitlin the floor.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm 32. I am a mom of a wild toddler and a lovely wife to an amazing husband. I'm going to talk about my recovery journey and how I got from alcoholic to in recovery. So here we go. Growing up, I lived a pretty normal life, middle class. My family drank. It was very normal for my family to drink. So it was normalized, but I was never really a bad kid. I did lose my brother when I was 14. He was 15. So I did have a bit of trauma when I was younger. But it never derailed me. I didn't take a path of darkness. I partied a lot in college, and right after graduation, I moved up north here and I met my husband. So things were pretty steady for a while, and slowly but surely my drinking got a little bit more daily, we'll say. I had the money to do it, that was a big factor. Comfort over time. And then I would say red flag number one was when I tried to do Beachbody, and I couldn't even make it through the 21-day fix without wanting to drink or literally drinking. They would say you can do it, and I would be like, okay, then I'm gonna just add one of these glasses of wine. But they don't really know how much a glass is if they can't see it, right? So that was a bit of a red flag to me. I could never keep that promise to myself. I could never make it more than a couple weeks without drinking. And I justified it as this is normal. That's normal for people, right? I'm young. I'm newly with someone. It's fine. I would say my second red flag was COVID.
It was a lot for everybody. COVID was rough.
Yes.
Very rough.
Yes. Because it was so normalized.
Mm-hmm.
What was there to do? Drink. TikTok, Tiger King.
I forgot about Tiger King.
Right?
Oh my God.
Right? As I'm sitting here recapping, I'm like,
yeah.
what did we do during COVID? Yep.
TikTok was
TikTok
a thing.
and drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so normalized. You could go and you could get a drink and at pickup and literally take it home. What? You could have a whole margarita?
Yeah.
Are you joking? On the way home? Yes, sounds good. So, the fact that it was so normalized made it easily accessible, and the ABC stores were an essential business, so they were still open. So yeah, that should have been my second red flag. I did realize that I was drinking in excess, but I thought when I get back to work, everything will be fine. I'll get back on track. That did not happen. I did not get back on track, and my tolerance was insane. Mm-hmm. So about a year later, I thought to myself, all right, from what it looks like, these people are getting pregnant and they get their lives on track, right? You have a baby and that's when life changes mentally, right?
Yes.
That's what's supposed to happen.
It saves it all.
Yeah. No, that didn't happen. Motherhood. Yeah, I got through my pregnancy just fine. But I thought that, having a child would give me purpose and get me right. And that only took about 5 weeks for me to get back into old habits again, drinking daily. And I had very bad postpartum depression, extremely bad. And I was put on medication 5 weeks after, and I thought, all right, I'm feeling good. My child's sleeping through the night. We're good. We got this. I am killing this motherhood thing. It's fucking hard. But mommy wine culture normalizes the shit out of drinking.
Yep.
And they sit there and say, oh, mommy juice. And it's a wine cup. Like, come on. I'm guilty. I had that. I gifted that. You know, like it's so normalized.
Yeah.
And so I thought what I was doing was okay. Had a long, hard day. Drink. That's just what we know to do.
Yep.
Well, little did I know that drinking cancels out antidepressants. So I was sitting here wondering why the fuck a year later, my daughter was a year old, why the fuck I was still in such a dark place. Why were my antidepressants not working? Why was I in such a dark place? I did have something happen in my personal life. We won't go into detail, but I thought to myself, maybe that was it. Maybe that's what made me spiral. But I'd say the last 4 months of me drinking were the darkest place I've ever been mentally. It was really bad. I had everything that I wanted in life, though. I had my beautiful house that you helped me get.
Yes.
I have, the perfect husband who's so supportive. I have a beautiful child. I make good money. We're not living paycheck to paycheck. Like, why was life still so fucking bad? I blamed it on everything else but my drinking. I didn't want to admit that it was a problem. So fast forward, I drank myself into the hospital. And when I woke up and heard my husband and my mom saying she needs help, that's when I realized that I can't play this game anymore. I just can't live like this. I had hit my rock bottom mentally, and no one can define what rock bottom is. You don't have to lose everything. That was enough for me. I knew that if I kept going, I would lose my family and probably my life. I very well could have died that night.
Oof, girl.
It was bad.
Yeah.
So immediately I had found AA, and that's all I knew. That was the only thing, that people.
I think that's the only people know is
AA.
AA.
Yeah. They say, but you don't want to show your face there. It's shameful to go in public, and what if you see your coworker there and you're like, shit, So when I logged in, I did a virtual one that night. It just wasn't for me. I didn't fit in. I felt very much like an outcast. I considered rehab. Was I bad enough for rehab? Yeah, probably. But I didn't want to leave my family.
Right. Understandable.
So I, for the first time, was thankful for algorithms. And something called Reframe popped up on my Instagram. And this is an app that literally saved my life. It teaches you to literally, hence the name reframe your thoughts around alcohol. And it teaches you the neuroscience behind what it does to you and how you get from a habit to an addiction.
Okay.
And it doesn't happen overnight. You have a bad day, you come home, you drink. It doesn't even matter if you have a bad day. You come home, you drink.
Right.
Your body recognizes that artificial dopamine, and it gets used to that. And so your body stops making as much dopamine. Dopamine is that happy chemical, right?
Right.
So your body is like, oh, cool. We're going to get that at 4:00 every day. I'm going to cut back. I don't need to make as much dopamine.
Interesting.
So that's what leads to that long-term depression. It might numb your feelings in the moment, but long-term, your body stops making that natural dopamine. It's relying on something artificial to give it that dopamine.
Okay.
So that's why all of a sudden you're now dependent on something to make you happy. Call it an addiction, call it dependence. I never woke up with the shakes. That was never a thing for me, but Holy shit, the mental capacity that took up in my brain. Where was I gonna, I need to pack a cooler to go to Mel's house. I need to, so I can drink the way that I want to drink, so no one would judge me. Because things did get secretive towards the end. I was sneaking around drinking before walks with my daughter. That's the reality of what it had gotten to. And I learned that all of this, my brain was just doing what it was knowing how to do. It knew that reward would get me that happiness in the moment.
Interesting.
So then I found the meetings. So they have like these daily tasks in there. So that's where I learned all that I know about alcohol and what it does to us. And then I found the meetings. And these are all virtual. They're all on Zoom. And they literally, I still attend like 3 to 6 meetings a day.
So life-changing.
Life-changing. Like I throw an AirPod in. I was doing it while I was getting ready for this morning. Throw an AirPod in. You just listen. You don't have to have your camera on. You just listen to other people that are just like you, professional jobs. There's doctors. There's lawyers. There's big people on here that are just like you and I. You would never guess that they had a problem, you know?
I think most people don't know that, right? I mean, we're friends. We talk all the time. We've been through big life things, events, weddings, babies, miscarriages, arguments, losing friends, all the things. And like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And I think most people don't. If someone, and I mean, maybe, I mean, obviously, you know, your husband, because you guys live in the same house, but I think a lot of people are able to hide it just because it's become part of life. So they don't see it, or they're not labeling themselves as an alcoholic, which that's a tough word. An alcoholic is a tough word because there's so many variations of
many variations. And that's the beautiful thing about Reframe is that we don't use the word alcoholic. I personally, yes, I identify as an alcoholic 100%. But because that label for me makes it easier to call it quits.
Right.
You don't have to have a label though. Like that's the beautiful thing that Reframe has taught me and how I've reframed my mind about it. You don't need a label to reevaluate your relationship with alcohol. You don't need to call yourself an alcoholic. You just need to know that, is drinking benefiting you? Is drinking making a positive change in your life? Just being aware is so huge. And the beauty, like we also talk about harm reduction. So we have a cutback track that if people just want to start to mindfully moderate, oh, I promised myself I'd only have 2.
Yep.
I ended up having 4. And why? Why can you not? You have to dig in. And that's what these meetings, like we talk a lot about that. And so, it's just taught me so much and how to find what brings you true joy, you know?
Yeah. I
spent every waking moment just drinking on the weekends and wasting my weekends. Now
being hungover.
Yeah, being hungover. And then not really playing with my daughter. I am so much more present as a parent. And you can't selectively numb. Right. You can't selectively numb. So you're drinking maybe to have fun, but you're also dulling the sparkle in life. Mm-hmm. Like the joy that I feel now, I had no idea was even possible. And I did not get to that point very soon, you know? Like it took a long time to get here, but I found the secret to life and I fucking did it.
I love you for it. I'm so proud of you.
333 days today, creeping up on a year.
That's so exciting.
It's crazy.
That's so exciting. Okay. Did I get you off tangent? Did you go through? I know you have some notes. I just want to make sure you touched on everything you wanted to touch on. Yeah, no, just a few things that, you know, my depression and anxiety are basically non-existent. That's huge, actually. It's huge. It's absolutely wild. I have done so much it's not just quitting drinking. You have to truly get to know yourself again. And it's a lot about this inner child work and literally, you know, a lot of you, like we've talked about this. A lot. Like having a life coach just gets you to where you can be right mentally. And we call it doing the work. I don't know if you call it that too, but a couple things that I have in my toolbox that Reframe has taught me: fuck the voice. There will always be a voice that I can mindfully moderate one day. And no, I live by NQTD, never question the decision. I made that decision. It's so important to find your why. My why at the beginning was to be a better wife and a better mom. My why now, if I were to lose everything under the sun, my why now, I know my mental health is my number one. Right. I could never go back. You couldn't pay me enough to go back to that dark place, ever. So that's what playing the tape forward that's what gets me through. I'm like, I know what that one drink does. I know how that story ends. Yep. And it's just not worth it. If I pick up that one time, or if I say I can only drink on special occasions, I will find every fucking way to make every day a special occasion. Yeah.
So
I do think some people have a little bit more. I mean, I've attended some of these. I've listened to the podcast that you've sent to me, done some anonymous research just because I find it super interesting. I have, handful of friends, that have been in and out of, rehabs or, whatever, terrible relationships with alcohol. I have a terrible relationship with alcohol, but I am, and I don't say a lucky one, but I have an on-off switch that I'm able to, I don't need to drink. I have no desire to drink. If we're in a social setting, I can have one or two, but I also know that if I have more than two, then I'm at 10. So I just don't. So for most time, I just don't, right?
You're one of the few that can successfully mindfully moderate.
Yeah. But it still does the same thing to my brain.
I had to be honest with myself and say, my brain does not work that way. And it took me being 100% honest with myself. I've tried moderating. I tried not drinking for a couple weeks for whatever reason, and I just can't do it. It's easier for me to say no.
Yeah.
I just can't. I'm a green light drinker. Once one happens, literally, your prefrontal cortex shuts down, and it is zero fucks given, and you are all in. So, I just know that it just can't be an option for me.
So. Is it still a temptation? Can you go places and people are drinking? Could you go to the bar? Could you go to a party? Could you go to a wedding?
Yes, I have done quite a bit being sober. Concerts are absolutely amazing.
Yes, so that's a yes. You actually listen to the music.
You pay hundreds of dollars to go see your favorite artist to then get shit-faced, don't remember it, and then feel like ass the next day? Come on, it is so much better just being present. I know I'm fun now. It took a while to retrain your brain, though, that, it's possible,
right.
And this is my saving grace. I always have a bubbly water in my hand of some sort. I realize it's very much as long as I'm in a social setting and I have something to drink, I'm good. A
little bit of a habit, right?
Changing the habit, yeah. So.
Anything we missed?
If you're in the process or trying to reevaluate your relationship with alcohol, just one thing that literally my first craving ever was when I was 5 days in. I was setting up for a Kentucky Derby party with my sister, and her friends stopped by and they started talking about the drinks that they were going to have the next day. And I was like, this fucking sucks. And I was like, why do I feel this way? I was so steadfast. I know it's only been 5 days, but what happened? What switched? And then a couple days later, I learned something called HALT, HALT. It's hungry, angry, lonely, tired. For me, also thirsty. So I realized in that moment, 30 minutes later, we went in to eat and I got something to drink and I ate and I was like, oh.
It went away.
It went away.
Interesting.
It's your brain goes to just the simplest thing, that instant dopamine, that what's easiest, Yeah. My brain was so used to doing that. You have to look at your basic necessities first. Are you angry? PMS time is a huge thing for me because I get very angry and irritable, and that's a huge trigger for me. So I've had to do a lot of self-work and realize, all right, these times I need to take time for myself to fill my cup up so I don't get to the point of wanting to drink.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. Especially because you did a lot of it privately too.
Yeah.
Initially at first. I mean, if you follow her on social media, I'm going to tag all the things and put all the links to all the places she's been talking about. But if you follow her on social media, it was very hush-hush at first. And then as you started going through recovery and you started sharing, we recover the same way from things, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So we're oversharers. And it's not an attention getter. It's not an attention thing, but I think some people can relate to what we have to say or we have been through. Hence why I started the podcast, why I wanted her on here. Because I think some people can relate to her situation and story. Everyone has a different relationship with alcohol. Some people are okay. Some people are not. Some people are in the middle. But it has an effect on your...
It's a spectrum.
Yeah.
It's a spectrum. It's not... You don't have to label yourself an alcoholic. It's alcohol use disorder. You can have someone who literally, there's someone on Reframe that just is she's a personal trainer and she knows that those 2 drinks a week are messing up her lifestyle. And she's not an alcoholic. Yeah. What is an alcoholic? Who knows?
Yeah.
That's
to be determined.
Subjective.
Yeah. It's subjective. Exactly.
But then you have people that did hit rock bottom and whatever that may be to some people. But it's a spectrum, and just being aware is such a step in the right direction. So
nice.
Mindfulness.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining me on this.
Thank you for having me.
I will, like I said, I'm going to tag her in a couple of things. If you have any questions for her, she would love to answer them or point you in the right direction. And I think that's all for today.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll see you next week.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.